Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for your WWE NXT Event Center report. And now here is the man to bring you that report, Mr. Eric M. Lima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, episode 1517 of the show. And this is going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about the final NXT before NXT Heatwave this Sunday, the Premium Live event, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. And the future of the WWE is in the hands of these superstars from NXT. As you know, there's been a lot of things going on. Some of the main roster stars who have not been given the opportunity, like on Raw or SmackDown, or TV time there, got some TV time on NXT. Like Michin, for example, and she had an opportunity for a Money in the Bank qualifier. But instead, there was this women's street fight between Michin and Jada Parker. Heck of a matchup. It included every weapon there is, going through barriers and all that. Thumbtacks, chairs, whatever. But Jada Parker ended up picking up the victory. Picking up the victory over Michin. Meanwhile, in the women's locker room, Mariana Grace was complaining to Carmen Petrovic about not getting an opportunity at the Women's North American Championship. So, and Jasmine Nix and JCJ interrupt them, basically making fun of the Carmen Petrovic. She says, "I'll take care of it. You know, if you have a problem with me, we'll take care of it in the ring." And Javon Evans was one of the men that will be part of the contract signing later on, addresses being part of a Premium Live main event on his first Premium Live event. It's a huge deal for this young man, only 20 years old. And this is a bright, Javon Evans has a bright future ahead of him. Meanwhile, New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, and Tyler Bate took on the team of Hank and Tank, Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. And the New Catch Republic wins the match in the end in a great tag match. And both teams shook hands after the match and with respect. And Shawn Spears addresses being in the Heatwave main event. Shawn Spears being the experienced one of the group, one of the four men in the group, and is determined to, to walk away the NXT heavyweight champion. Meanwhile, Robert Stone and Stevie Turner, I think they're trying to be fighting over to be Ava's assistant. And they were talking to Oro Mensah. He said, we'll get some good news. You're going to be back in action. And you're going to be going up against Miles Bourne. The bad news, though, that Oro Mensah is banned from Heatwave due to Ethan Page being part of the matchup. Being part of Heatwave. So, and the reason why Oro Mensah was beating up Ethan Page because Ethan Page took out Noam Dar. And he said, he'll be ready for Ethan Page after Heatwave. Brindley Reese took on Izzy Dame one-on-one. Heck of a matchup between these two ladies. But in the end, Dame picked up the victory. But Tatum Paxley's tried to want to talk with Dame, and Izzy Dame just bailing out of the ring. Tatum Paxley's a little screw loose. Don't know what's up with her. I think ever since she got some stuff and beaten out of her by Jordan Grace at Against All Odds in TNA, who knows for sure what's going to happen. Chase Hugh were talking, and they were making plans to go to Heatwave in Toronto, but Duke Hudson kind of spilled the beans on what Ridge Holland did, and Andre Chase says, Ridge, stay behind, you're not going to Toronto. I don't know if it's a wise decision on the part of Chase Hugh. We'll find out this Tuesday well, not this Tuesday, this coming Sunday at Heatwave as they challenge Nathan Frazier and Axiom for the tag team belts. More on those two, on the one of the champs. So there was a face-off between Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice. Roxanne Perez had her say, and Lola Vice, she gave an impassioned speech to the point where she broke down in tears. I'm gonna have a lot of respect for Lola. I'm gonna have a lot of respect for Lola Vice, and I think this is the first time Lola Vice has turned face in a situation like this. You know, and Lola Vice, full emotion. You know, and when it comes to emotion, I see a lot of Melina inside Lola Vice as far as emotion in wrestling. You know, attitude. Saw a lot of that. Saw a lot of Melina in Lola Vice. And I'm telling the truth, because Melina was very emotional when it comes to stepping in the squared circle, cutting promos and whatnot. And Melina was like that. You know, she could turn, when she comes a heel, she could turn on a dime as far as, you know, being mean and vicious. And when it comes to a face, emotional, tears. I see a lot of Melina, I sense a lot of Melina vibes in that young lady in Lola Vice. And it's like Melina with more curves and the ability for an MMA ability, you know. You know, Melina had great wrestling ability, and that's what I think Lola Vice will have to do, is get somebody like Melina to give her advice on wrestling skills in the ring. I mean, Lola Vice can fight, there's no doubt. But, you know, she needs to match wrestling skills with Roxanne Perez in order for her to walk out as NXT Women's Champion. And then Lola Vice sent a message by walking out the two security guys that Roxanne brought with her. And so there's that. Ethan Page addresses the NXT Heatwave main event, saying that he'll walk out the championship. Meanwhile, Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights, the newest member of the No Quarter Catch crew, was trying to psych up Miles Bourne for his matchup against Oro Mensah. And then Damon Kemp brought in Brass Knucks, and Charlie Dempsey kind of dismissed the whole thing. Eddie Thorpe was talking to Danny Palmer and a couple of girls about his being a DJ on the side, and Lexis King interrupts him, makes fun of him. But Eddie Thorpe doesn't seem to be bothered. We'll see what happens. You know, Lexis King says, you know, the heavy metal, you know, the metal rock bands back in the day, you know, it's cool and all, but you don't disrespect Eddie Thorpe in front of a bunch of beautiful women. Come on now. Then Oro Mensah went one-on-one with Miles Bourne, and Damon Kemp distracts Bourne during the matchup saying, use the brass knucks, but Miles Bourne couldn't catch on. Oro Mensah took advantage and picked up the victory over Miles Bourne. Wes Lee and Obafemi were addressing NXT Heatwave, because you know Wes Lee's trying to go for the NXT North American Championship, and if he doesn't win, he won't be able to win it again, or get a shot at it again, as long as Obafemi is still champion. Gallus was brawling with Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe in the back, and because of that match was supposed to happen, will not happen. Idris Enofe and Malik Blade tried to console Brindley Reese, but then the OC came out to address OTM. Meanwhile, Carly Bright and Wendy Chu went one-on-one in a matchup. Vic Joseph and Booker T trying to figure out what happened to Wendy Chu. I had a theory on this. I think Wendy Chu had dreams of the old school Undertaker from the 90s. You know, the old school Taker. And probably told Wendy Chu, you must rise, have a killer instinct or something like that. And Wendy Chu, she's Undertaker-ish in that ring. You know, very methodical, very focused, very intent. You know, she reminds me a lot of The Undertaker now, as a result of that. Really, really weird situation, man, let me tell you. But as a result of that, Wendy Chu beat Carly Bright with a sleeper hold, with a variation of a sleeper hold, more like an Oscar lock. Trick Williams addresses the Heatwave main event as he claimed to walk out as champion. But this past, over the weeks, over the months, over the few weeks, they had some disturbances, and Vic Joseph Booker T wasn't able to comment on it, but Shawn Michaels does. I think ever since the breakup between Josh Briggs, Fallon Henley, and Brooks Jensen was on a downward spiral, started drinking. They've asked him to get help, and they started banning him for, his contract with NXT is not up. And, in fact, he was still under contract with NXT. Is that he needed some help. So next week, and they invited him next week to come and talk to Ava about the future on NXT. Carmen Petrovic went one-on-one with Jasmine Nix. Fallon Henley was watching the match from the locker room. JC Jane gets involved during the match of costing Petrovic the match. Actually, Nathan Frazier were talking about Heatwave, but Nathan Frazier was focused on tomorrow's matchup against Xavier Woods. And then, and Action says, we got to focus on Heatwave against Chase U. And Nathan Frazier says, we're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And then Petrovic went to Ava and said, you saw what happened? I said, yes. And your friend says she'll team with you against JC Jane and Jasmine Nix in the countdown of Heatwave. But it wasn't that Petrovic thought it was Natty, but it wasn't. It was Ariana Grace. So, and Ariana Grace said, it's our hometown of Toronto. We Canadians got to stick together. So, and then Sol Ruka addresses her opportunity at Heatwave, where she says that she'll walk out. She'll walk out the NXT Women's North American Champion against Kaylani Jordan. And then the contract signed between Trick Williams, Ethan Page, Shawn Spears, and Javon Evans. Ethan Page says, hey, I don't have to pin you for this title. I'm going to win. I'll pin, and then Shawn Spears talks about experience. And they all pick on Javon Evans because he's the youngest at 20. Javon Evans says, you know what? And Trick Williams had to say it's every man for himself. And they said they're going to win the title. All four-man brawl. Ethan Page responds, Shawn Spears went to a table, and Trick Williams and Javon Evans face off. It's going to be a very interesting situation, to say the least. That's what I say. It's going to be a lot of fun this coming Sunday. Well, that's all the time we have on this show. Episode 1517 of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977 is complete. Thank you for tuning in, and and the next episode we'll be spinning the Warner and Bandit Joker's Wild Style. We'll see what happens, all right? And then we got AEW Dynamite tomorrow as well. So, until the next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home.
That is all for today's episode. This is your announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E, do it for Bob Saget Productions, and in association with a Raven Bofa Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching today's episode. Tune in next time for another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. Goodbye for now.